Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and check it out. I got a package. This comes from Germany. And what this actually is a brand new Sega Dreamcast game called Hermes. That might sound a little familiar if you saw my Dreamcast birthday video, the 18th birthday video. Basically, it's a game that came out just before the birthday, but it hadn't arrived in time to be able to make a video before that. So technically, it's part of that calendar year. But regardless, it is a brand new Sega Dreamcast game. If you're not aware, yes, the Sega Dreamcast, my favorite game console of all time, still gets new titles every once in a while, which is, of course, awesome and insane, but it's cool. It still happens, and it's becoming more and more frequent, which is really nice. But yeah, let's just go ahead and open it up and talk a little bit more about it. So we've got wrapping there, and pull that. Nice. Okay, so inside we have 2 copies of this comic book that comes with it, and 2 copies of the game. Now, here's the thing. Full disclosure, the guys who make this game, which was developed by a company called Retro Guru and was published by Dragon Box, you can see, I'll put a link in the description to their website so you can check it out if you want to. It's actually a pretty affordable game. It's only 15 euros, which is kind of insane considering most Dreamcast independent games are vastly more expensive. It's the second game that Retro Guru has done. Their first one for the Dreamcast anyway was a game called Fruity, which was also notoriously cheap. It was like a $10 game. But anyway, so why do I have 2 copies? Well, full disclosure, they sent it to me for free. That, I think, was kind of obvious. But at the same time, they potentially sent it to you for free as well. They were cool enough to give me 2 copies so that one of you can get a free copy of this game. How do you get it? Basically, leave a comment in the description that just says, I want the game. And what I'll do is, after about a week after the video is posted, I'm going to take everyone who entered and I'll put you in like a random option generator, and then I'll contact the winner. So if you want a shot at winning the game, go ahead and enter. No country disqualified or anything like that. It doesn't have to be just the US. Anybody, go ahead, feel free to enter, and I'll ship it out to whoever wins. So I want to thank Retro Guru and Dragon Box, of course, for hooking me up with an extra copy, and I hope you'll thank them as well. And please check out their website, because it was cool enough that they were supporting the Dreamcast, and on top of supporting it, they made it a game that's actually pretty affordable. Now, obviously, I haven't played the game yet, but it's basically a platformer, from my understanding. It's supposed to be a pretty fun one. It looks very simplistic, but apparently that's part of the charm, which I could believe. A lot of great, games, like a lot of great platformers, are very simplistic. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. Now, one of the coolest things about this, actually, is some of the technical stuff. Now, it is worth noting, and this is becoming an increasing trend with Dreamcast independent stuff, is that the disc is multifunctional. So what that means is, first of all, you have to understand that the Dreamcast independent scene discs like this are not like, hey, some guy burned it, on his computer. It's like a CDR, and like he just mailed you some junk with some Sharpie written on it with the name of the game. No, these are produced in a factory, and they're very, very nice. They're all totally legitimate, which is really, really cool. But on top of that, these discs tend to have multiple content on them. So in this case, the game is not only a game, but it also contains a music CD. And it's not 2 discs. Basically, you can take the Dreamcast game and stick it in anything, including the Dreamcast, and just play the music off of it. Or you could stick it in, like, an Xbox One or a Sega CD, or any console that will play music CDs. You can go ahead and pop this in there and it'll play. Now, I'm told, and based on what little video I've seen of it already, that that's pretty awesome, because the music in this game is supposed to be really, really good. And I've heard samples of it, and it was pretty cool. So that's becoming more of a standard with Dreamcast independent games, is the music CD bonus function. This one, however, has an extra feature on it, which I think is kind of insane. Orion Games kind of used to do this, but these guys took it to another level. In this case, this is the Dreamcast copy of the game. You put this in a Dreamcast, it'll boot up. Great. You can put this in a PC, and it will contain multiple other versions of the game, one of which is a PC version of the game, but it also contains files for a lot more. Now, I don't remember them all offhand. I'll address them all when we get to the gameplay portion of this video. But off the top of my memory, it works with the, well, it says Amiga OS, Mac OS, but on top of that, it also works with, there's an Android version of the game. There's also a GameCube and a Wii version of the game, all on the same disc. Now, you have to forgive me, I'm not super familiar with like the GameCube and Wii independent scene. I don't think you can just pop this disc into like a modded Wii and it'll start playing. I think it just gives you the files to install it, and you would have to do it through like a homebrew channel and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I think the only console you can just pop this into and play directly is the Dreamcast, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm just saying the files exist, so if you know what you're doing in those scenes, you have that option, which is pretty cool. But yeah, taking a look at the disc here, that's the cover art there. Looks pretty cool. And on the back, also very nice. It's fully in English. Ships out of Germany, but it's completely in English. It's got a nice end label there. Awesome. And on top of that, this is what the inside looks like. You've got a manual and you've got disc art. Very nice disc art, actually, which I think is really cool. Again, like I said, totally legitimate pressed discs, which is awesome. It actually has a listing of all the soundtrack underneath it, which is kind of cool. They actually, rather than having it be a bonus feature that the disc functions as a music CD, they seem to own that fact and just be like, yeah, it's also a music CD, damn you, which is pretty cool. And like I said, it includes this comic book, which opens up by saying not suitable for children, which means there must be a lot of adults or potentially adult content in it, which is pretty cool. I know this game features a lot of like eating, and then eventually you have to take a shit in the game, so like recharge so you can eat more. I know that, but like beyond that, I don't. So that's cool. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome that they did that. So without further ado, let's move on and check out some gameplay.
Alright, got the game running here. Of course, it has a little custom logo there if you boot it up into a Dreamcast. And as mentioned before, it was developed by Retro Guru, and I quite enjoyed Fruity. You can go back and watch my video on that game if you ever want to see it. I'm glad that these guys are still supporting the Dreamcast. That's very cool. And these guys are pretty open about, you know, how the game uses open source stuff and all these other supplies that you know, you can get readily accessible if you want, including other copies of the game. So I kind of mentioned this before. This disc includes multiple versions of the game. Obviously, you're seeing it played back on a Dreamcast, running through VGA, then running through the Akura, by the way, so it's a nice HDMI output. It looks very nice. But yeah, so the disc contains multiple versions of the games, and they actually allow you to download most of them for free online if you want to. So I'm going to read off the current versions that they have up there. They have Amiga OS version 4.0, Android, Google Play, I guess there's a difference, AROS, Haiku 32-bit and Haiku 64-bit, Morph OS, Motomag X, which is a Motorola thing, NetBSD 7 Intel, NetBSD 7 PPC, Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Wii, Open Pandora, Symbian OS Series 60 V3, and Windows 32-bit. So you actually have multiple versions of this thing that's supported. You can try out any of those for free. The Dreamcast one is the one that got a wider release here. So this is my first playthrough of this game ever. As you can see, it's a platformer. Now, my platformer instincts jumped in, and I was like, yeah, collect all the things, and then you saw, like, I kept dying. So what happens is your stomach gets too full, and you have to, like, shit yourself. So there's, like, this outhouse right there. Yeah, you go in there, and every time you see one of those, take a break, stop, take a dump. Really, that's what's going on there. But, of course, you have a hunger bar, so you have to kind of manage that with having to shit versus having to be hungry, in addition to doing just all the platform mechanics. And of course you're chasing this chicken, which is the overall plot of the game. Now, I didn't make it to the end of the game, but I'm assuming at the end you succeed in that mission, because every time you get to the end of a level, as you can see here, you don't succeed. I don't think it's actually possible to catch the chicken on every single level. I think you have to actually just get to the end of the game. But yeah, this game is a lot more, I know it looks simplistic, it's a lot more addictive than it looks. And like I said, man, if you're curious at all, you can download the game in multiple versions for free and try it out. As you can see, I was not very good at first, and here I was hesitating, do I put my initials or do I put my name? I ended up putting my name. But yeah, I would recommend checking it out, one version of it, and see if you like it. And if you like it, support the Dreamcast scene, because, you know, why not? It's a cheap game too. It's affordable, and I always appreciate that. So that was definitely cool. But I was also, as you can see, not the best at it. But I still enjoyed it nonetheless. So I'm going to kind of leave you alone for a minute, let you enjoy the rest of the gameplay, and I'll check back with you at the end. Alright, so that was a look at Hermes for the Sega Dreamcast. I, of course, want to thank Retro Guru and Dragonbox for making this possible. You should definitely check them out. Again, there's going to be a link in the description. Please feel free to take a look. The game is, of course, region free. It'll work on any Dreamcast. You don't have to worry about stuff like that. Just because it comes from Europe doesn't mean it won't work here. You'll be fine. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I will see you all later.